This is BRICS Global Television Network's weekly roundup. We begin with the headlines. Iran President Ibrahim Raisi laid to rest. Brazil politicians cash in on recent floods. India's elections enter final phases. And Saudi Arabia to host Whitaker versus Chimaev UFC fight. Hello, I'm Juliet Newell. We begin in Iran, where the country's late President Ibrahim Raisi to rest, concluding days of funeral rites. He died in a helicopter crash on Sunday on his way back from the border with Azerbaijan to Tabriz after attending the inauguration of a dam. Iran's foreign minister and 6 others also lost their lives. Throngs of mourners bid farewell to Raisi in his hometown Mashhad before joining processions in several cities. The country's 5 days of mourning have now ended. Authorities, including acting President Mohamed Boughber, will now turn their attention to organizing an election to select a new president. This has been scheduled for June the 28th. Raisi was widely expected to assume the position of supreme leader after Ayatollah al-Khamenei. On Wednesday, Khamenei led prayers in Tehran for the deceased president and solemnly paid homage to the 8 individuals who lost their lives in the helicopter accident, kneeling before their coffins. Among the deceased, Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdullahian, whose burial took place on Thursday at the shrine of Shah Abdul Azim, south of the capital. Prior to the burial, Iranian officials and foreign dignitaries gathered in Tehran to honor the late diplomat in a ceremony. In Brazil, following weeks of heavy downpours and subsequent flooding, the people of Rio Grande do Sul are now trying to piece together their lives. The true cost of the tragedy is now revealing itself. More than 160 people have been killed, around 85 are still missing, and more than 650,000 displaced. Thousands of homes have been damaged or destroyed, roads washed away, and there's extensive damage to infrastructure. But with municipal elections coming up in October, some politicians are using the tragedy as a campaigning tool. Our BGTN correspondent in Brazil, Chris Goldenbaum, has more.
Political polarization has become the norm around the world, and it is no different in Brazil. In times of tragedy, such as now, polarization becomes even more noticeable. People haven't even started to rebuild their lives, and politicians are already using this tragedy to score political points. The moment of solidarity and unity that Brazil fostered at the beginning of the tragedy has been partly marred by political interests. As we reported here on BGTN, a massive operation involving private institutions, public organizations, and private individuals generated hundreds of tons and millions of dollars of donations to the affected areas. The help continues to be sent to Rio Grande do Sul as people are preparing their lives from scratch. The current year is also an election year, with mayors and municipal councils set to be elected in October. These elections are seen as a key indicator for the general elections in 2026, so the stakes are already high. A wave of false information and disputed news dominates social media. One side denies climate change, while the other accuses environmental damage.
No Brasil e no mundo, você tem sempre uma tendência para polarizar qualquer discussão.
Well, in Brazil and around the world, you always have a tendency to polarize any discussion. If we go back a bit in time, we'll see that the pandemic was also shaken by discussions between left and right, between people saying they were in favor of health and other deniers, and with an issue as serious as the floods, it's not much different. You have the two political forces, left and right, debating.
Debatendo. Então, é muito comum você ver do lado da direita.
So it's very common to see discussions on the right showing any mistakes made by the federal administration or even the state administration. And when you see discussions on the left showing any problems that Governor Eduardo Leite could have faced in a kind of pre-crisis administration.
O governador Eduardo Leite poderia ter incorrido numa espécie de administração pré-crise.
The nature of disputes has transitioned from online social media platforms to real-life offline situations, such as the son of former President Jair Bolsonaro, Eduardo Bolsonaro, who tweeted videos of himself driving around the floods in a jet ski to expose what he calls the truth. He was referring to his accusations that the federal government is lying about the level of help they are sending to the flooded areas. Bolsonaro says the government is using the tragedy to win voters from Rio Grande do Sul. The accusation gained traction when President Lula da Silva created an extraordinary secretary for the disaster and nominated Minister Paulo Pimenta to head the project. A highly controversial decision since Pimenta is from Rio Grande do Sul and is considered the administration's hope to run for state governor in 26.
Então, esse tipo de debate viciado,
So this kind of rigged debate ends up being very bad, but it also has a good side, which is precisely that it encourages people to speak out. The problem for those in the center is that they often end up being harmed because it's like coffee with milk. You don't taste the coffee or the milk. It's a cappuccino, right? It's a mixed taste. So the center politician today has a hard time standing out in this scenario because he's neither one thing nor the other. He's exactly in the middle. I believe that, as we've seen in the past, the centrist politician only achieves some kind of prominence when he embraces some kind of flag.
Tipo de destaque quando ele abraça algum tipo de bandeira.
In the midst of conflict between Bolsonaro's right-wing and Lula's left-wing narratives, center-right Governor Eduardo Leite is also encountering difficulties. Disliked by both sides of the spectrum, he has been the victim of high amounts of fake news and speculation. A presidential hopeful, Leite is only 39 years old, the first openly gay governor in Brazil, and considered a prodigy, as he's already in his second term as governor. However, he has been accused of weakening environmental protection laws in the state. Leite responded by first denying it, but then he said that, quote, there are many agendas for us to worry about, which didn't sit well with many ordinary Brazilians. He also said that the donations may harm local businesses in the region, which was widely criticized, after which he apologized, saying it was all a misunderstanding. Speaking of donations, while the political class may have similar intentions to benefit from the tragedy, Brazilian society continues to unite in providing assistance to those affected, regardless of their political views. Chris Goldenbaum, BGTN, São Paulo, Brazil.
India's elections have entered the last stages with more than 1 billion people eligible to vote. Voting closes on June the 1st, with results due a few days later. For an update on the voting, BGTN India correspondent Venkat Narayan has more.
Voting in India, the world's largest democracy, has been completed in 4/5 of the country. Voters in the remaining 1/5 of the country will pick their parliamentary representatives in 2 more rounds of voting on the 25th of this month and 1st of June. Results will be announced on the 4th of June. However, curiously enough, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Bharatiya Janata Party, or BJP, and the opposition India bloc are claiming that they have already procured a working majority in the new parliament and they are ready to form the next government. Modi's senior leaders, Amit Shah and Rajnath Singh, say that the BJP has already won 300 seats and Modi will be sworn in as the next Prime Minister. Rahul Gandhi, Congress Party's Prime Minister in waiting, has declared that there is no question of Modi being allowed to come back to power this time and the opposition bloc will form the next government. The opposition leaders say that they will meet on the 4th of June and pick their prime ministerial candidate by consensus. The party that brings more seats than any other opposition party will have its leader as the next Prime Minister of India, they say. However, Rajnath Singh and Amit Shah say that Modi will win this election. Not just that, he will also capture power in the next election in 2029. India's best-known political strategist, Prashant Kishore, says that Modi may have lost some of his charisma, but there is no one in the entire opposition to match his ability to win votes. He believes that Modi will win 300 seats and form the next government also. Amit Shah and Rajnath Singh claim that Modi will form not only government this time, but also in 2029. Even betting agencies are banking on Modi coming back to power with an impressive majority. S. Venkat Narayan in New Delhi, India.
There have been several developments in the Middle East pertaining to the Israel-Gaza conflict. Saudi Arabia and Qatar have welcomed the decision by Ireland, Norway and Spain to recognize a Palestinian state. Saudi Arabia tweeted, "The kingdom appreciates this decision issued by friendly countries, which affirms the international consensus on the inherent right of the Palestinian people to self-determination, and calls on the rest of the countries to make quickly their same decision." Qatar says the announcement is an important step in supporting the two-state solution and also expressed hope that other countries would follow suit. Saudi Arabia has for many years championed the Palestinian cause and has never recognized Israel. In September last year, a month before the October 7th Hamas attack on Israel, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman said progress is being made with the United States on a possible normalization deal. This would also involve beefing up security and other agreements. The kingdom has been clear on conditions of the agreement, though, and one main sticking point is that Israel would have to take steps towards recognizing a Palestinian state. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has repeatedly said he opposes this, calling it a reward for terror.
The intention of several European countries to recognize a Palestinian state is a reward for terrorism. 80% of Palestinians in Judea and Samaria support the terrible massacre of October 7. This evil must not be given a country. This will be a terrorist state. It will try to repeatedly carry out the massacre of October 7, and we will not agree to that. An award for terrorism will not bring peace, nor will it stop us from defeating Hamas.
Hamas's attack on Israel claimed around 1,200 lives and roughly 250 were taken hostage. The Israeli Defense Forces' reprisal attacks on Gaza have killed more than 35,000 people. That's according to the Hamas-run Ministry of Health. Israel disputes these numbers, claiming 16,000 civilians have been killed and 14,000 terrorists. Meanwhile, Israel's reacted to the announcement that Norway, Spain and Ireland would formally recognize the state of Palestine by recalling its ambassadors from these countries for consultations. In South Africa, there's just 1 week to go until the country's 7th democratic elections take place on May the 29th. The 2024 national and provincial elections are being held to elect a National Assembly as well as the provincial legislature in each of the 9 provinces. These elections are a crucial moment in the country's democracy, having been under the African National Congress government since 1994. With a staggering rate of unemployment, the ever-present threat of another bout of load shedding, crumbling parastatals, and a looming water crisis, is the desire for change enough to unseat the ANC? Well, the Centre for Social Development in Africa has released a report detailing the findings of research into factors determining how South Africans are choosing who to vote for in the upcoming elections. Ingam Zileni reports.
It has been revealed that the ruling African National Congress continues to cling to power in every election, regardless of the breakaway parties that form every election year. Their secret: social grants. About 42% of South Africans receive a social grant, more than quadrupled the 6.5% when the strategy was adopted for all South Africans in 1994. In 2022, about 11% of the national budget was spent on social services, with the addition of unemployment grants. The South African Social Security Agency pays 26 million grants every month. A 2023 report by the Center for Social Development in Africa, or CSDA, showed that people continue to vote for the ANC for so they do not lose their social grants. In this recent report by CSDA, 3,511 respondents were split in half by gender. 51% were women, 45% were men, 67% were urban dwellers, and 33% were rural. More than half of the respondents were young, between the ages of 18 and 34. When asked who they would vote for in the coming elections, 33% said the ruling ANC, and 19% said the Radical Economic Freedom Fighters. 15% said they would vote for the main opposition party, the Democratic Alliance, and 12% said they would vote for other parties. Meanwhile, 21% said they would not vote or were not registered to vote.
So that's the problem.
What we see here is a high-level finding and something that has changed significantly between 2023 and our earlier surveys. The more grant beneficiaries are now choosing an opposition party than before. This is contrary to our earlier findings, which was, it's 53% currently, and it was 26% in 2020. So there's a big change there. The grant recipients also increased since 2020 due to the social relief of distress grant that was introduced.
The report also shows that the ANC support has fallen substantively from previous waves, where it hovered at just 50%. The main opposition's DA support remains steady, and the economic freedom fighters look to be a far more popular choice. The ANC has also enjoyed a majority over the years due to the coming together of parties that fought during apartheid. Those parties have since broken away to form smaller parties. In a week, South Africans will head to polling stations to determine which party will rule the Republic of South Africa. Experts say the ANC would likely lose its majority should the parties form coalitions. But that proves to be a bigger challenge for the young democratic country, as the opposition parties themselves do not agree on certain issues, proving that South Africa is not ready to be ruled by a multi-party system of governance. Ingam Zileni, BGTN, in Johannesburg, South Africa.
In Russia, a 77-year-old scientist has been jailed for 14 years on treason charges. That's relating to the sharing of information about the country's hypersonic missile program with Germany. Physicist Anatoly Maslov's case was heard before a court in St. Petersburg in a closed session, as the information being presented is classified as top secret. The data he shared to German intelligence relates to Russia's hypersonic missile program. Maslov denied charges in court hearing last week before sentencing. His lawyer said he had done nothing wrong or illegal. He's devoted his life to his family and domestic science. He didn't transfer the alleged information, and it doesn't constitute a state secret. That's according to state media. Maslov, who was detained in June 2022, was an expert in the theoretical realm of hypersonic research, which has significant implications for Russia's cutting-edge missile program. Coming up, BRICS Plus Business News.
22 seconds came about. I've been working on human trafficking stories recently. I've been doing documentaries. It was just like, are we doing enough? It was a campaign that was, let's challenge ourselves, let's get it out there, let's try and reach as much people as possible.
130 people are trafficked all around the world per hour. So every 22 seconds, someone is being trafficked. 22 seconds could be your walk from a school gate inside the school. It could be your walk from your house to the bus station. It's just a short distance.
This campaign is a campaign that is set to raise awareness, to show the severity of this crime that's happening around us. I'm hoping that it will get society to speak about it. It will get communities, governments and organizations to come together and tackle this. I'm hoping that it will get the young girl, the young boy to understand the dangers that we live around.
And we're speaking to schools so that children are also aware of this. Teachers are aware, because also teachers play a vital role into seeing kids that they teach that this child was not like this. The campaign is running for a month, but that's not where our work will end. We will continue campaigning and we will continue moving towards our goal of getting 22 million signatures.
You can share the campaign firstly on social media using the hashtags 22 seconds not for sale, hashtag 22 seconds empower change, because we are empowering change. Please sign the petition. The whole idea also behind the petition is that once we reach 22 million signatures, we will take it to the UN.
It is up to us to raise awareness and show human trafficking that it has no place in our society.
In BRICS Plus business news, the Indian government's Spice Board is carrying out inspections of 2 top factories following claims some of their products carry health risks. This comes in the wake of bans from foreign companies who claim they've been tainted with pesticides. India's spice products make up around 12% of global exports, with last year's value over $4 billion. That's according to the Global Trade Research Initiative. 2 companies are being probed, MDH and Everest. Their combined product output makes up more than a quarter of India's market. The Spices Board of India wants to make sure their spices meet export standards. Nepal, Hong Kong and Singapore have banned the products, claiming they contain ethylene oxide. Other major importers, including Australia, Britain and the United States, are demanding additional information on the spices and are considering extra quality control measures to be put in place. Both spice companies have denied their products pose a health risk. Ethylene oxide is used as a pesticide and can also be used as a sterilizing agent in spices to prevent illnesses caused by Salmonella and E. coli bacteria. According to the United States Environmental Protection Agency, the organic compound can increase the risk of cancers of white blood cells when an individual is exposed to it regularly. And Saudi Arabia's fashion industries received a boost following an exclusive fashion show. Couture collections have been paraded down an open water boardwalk connecting beachfront villas as part of the kingdom's first Red Sea Fashion Week. Touted as a milestone for Saudi fashion and the tourism sector, reliant on diversifying the economy in the oil-rich Gulf region, the fashion show focused on pushing the envelope in the conservative Muslim country. One of the designers, Tima Abid, whose creations were on show, says, "The borders and restrictions that used to exist have been abolished, and this has given us the opportunity to show our creativity in a more beautiful way." Abid's collection featured resort wear dresses, flowing whites and beige fabrics, with some even showing off a visible midriff. We'll be back with BRICS Plus sports news in just a bit.
Round 3. Let's go. Right hand on 3 for super.
Hello, I'm Yolanda Pondo. In BRICS Plus Sports News, Saudi Arabia is gearing up to hold the first ever Ultimate Fighting Championship fight in Riyadh, and tickets are now on sale. And it's just a month to go until Australian Robert Whittaker and Russian Khamzat Chimaev will face off on June 22 at the Kingdom Arena. But it's bound to be worth every penny. Whittaker has been making waves in the sport for some time as former middleweight champion and professional mixed martial artist since 2009, and becoming the middleweight champion at UFC 213. He most recently defeated Brazil's Paulo Costa at UFC 298. Chimaev is looking to maintain his undefeated record and continue his rise in the middleweight rankings. He's won 6 fights by knockout, 5 by submission, and 8 wins in the first round. As part of the UFC's inaugural event in the Kingdom, fans will also be treated to an exhilarating showdown with Russia's Sergei Pavlovich and compatriot Alexander Volkov facing off in a clash of heavyweight titans. And Brazil has emerged victorious in the bid to host the 2027 Women's World Cup during the FIFA Congress, surpassing the joint proposal from Belgium, the Netherlands, and Germany.
And the winner is Brazil!
Brazil is the first South American nation to host the tournament, garnering support from 190 member associations. Brazil's bid outshone the European consortium, which secured 78 votes. Ednaldo Rodrigues, president of the Brazilian Football Confederation, says it's not only a triumph for South American women's soccer, but also for women globally. He pledged to deliver an exceptional World Cup experience without hubris. The decision swung in Brazil's favor following a recent FIFA technical assessment, scoring Brazil's bid at 4 out of 5, slightly edging out the 3.7 scored by the Belgium-Netherlands-Germany alliance. The competition narrowed to 2 contenders after the withdrawal of the United States and Mexico's joint bid, redirecting their focus towards the 2031 tournament. FIFA lauded Brazil's hosting prospects, anticipating it to be the best Women's World Cup. And in Olympic Games Paris 2024 news, in France, police have preemptively arrested and charged a 26-year-old man before the Olympic torch relay in Bordeaux on Thursday, suspecting a planned attack. Authorities have revealed the man had planned on committing violence during the event. The suspect, identified as Alex G., was detained after online extremism alerts referencing a 2014 California mass shooting. Charged with criminal conspiracy, Alex G. appeared before a magistrate and was released pending trial under judicial control. Prosecutors contested this decision, seeking remand in custody. Despite admitting to contemplating an attack, no direct link to the Olympic torch has been established. The Paris 2024 Olympic Games take place from Friday the 26th of July to Sunday the 11th of August. That's it for this week. I'll be back again on Monday with the latest BRICS Plus sports news.
Hi, I'm Ava. I think you should watch BGTN TV because it's the best.
And finally, South Africa's iconic Comrades Marathon's just over 2 weeks away, coming up on the 9th of June. This year's event will see around 23,000 runners taking part in the 87.6-kilometre uprun that starts in Durban and ends in Pietermaritzburg. BGTN correspondent Lebo Masike takes a look at what it takes to win the coveted title.
Early morning in Rustenburg, we're out and about as BGTN, joining Nedbank Runners Club, the elite. Amongst the elites, we have the 2022 and 2023 champion.
blessed to have these guys around me. They have positive mind and positive goals. So if you are around them, obviously your mind will also be positive.
And that's our weekly roundup. We're back again on Monday with more BRICS Plus news. Until then, stay up to date by visiting our website and social media.